Hello, everyone. Welcome to Film Side Chats. It is once again us two, me and Nate. Say hello,
Yes, yes,
Nate.
yes.
Yep. And today we are going to do a little thing where we sort of talk about this condition that the movie industry is in, and kind of reflect on the year and look towards the rest of the year. Um, so I'm not gonna really bore you with all the details. I think it's best we just dive into it.
Yeah,
So
dude.
yeah, so Nate, what is your what has been your take of the movie year this far, so far?
Uh, if I'm being honest, it kind of feels like the blockbuster has come and died. I don't know. That was my big takeaway from the year is I don't think there's really one big blockbuster aside from like Top Gun Maverick that I
Yeah,
can point to and say, this is going to be the movie that everyone remembers from this year. I think I think hopefully we can see that in the second half. I really can't say much about because I mean, what was there? There was Top Gun
Top Gun
Maverick.
Maverick.
I'm not gonna count like the Lost City.
The Lost City was you're talking summer blockbusters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was Top Gun Maverick, Jurassic World, Thor, and that's really all I can think about right now
Well,
for the
because
big
even
summers.
even Jurassic World was like
Yeah, it was not the greatest.
it's not a good movie. Like summer blockbuster wise, I there was nothing enjoyable
Yeah,
about it at
I
all.
you see, I think it's weird because I think this has been a honestly pretty bad year for movies. Because we're just seeing all the movies that were supposed to come out in 2020 uh, now finally come out.
Yeah.
And because usually all these blockbusters would have been in the front of summer, but I think we're gonna have actually a few good ones towards the back of summer because I think Nope's gonna perform really well.
Hmm.
I think also shoot, I'm forgetting. Oh, Bullet Train is gonna perform, I think, pretty good as well. Um, but other than that, there's really nothing for blockbuster wise.
I mean,
But
yeah.
it,
Until we get to I think October.
oh my, I'm so excited.
Usually it's the October season where I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'll be honest.
October, so I'm excited because I'm excited every September to Christmas because that's when the Oscar movies start dropping.
Hmm.
And we're gonna off the top of my head, I know in October we might finally get Terrifier 2, which I'm excited about.
Hmm.
We're gonna get the final Halloween movie from the trilogy. Uh, but those are the big ones. Of course, Smile comes out end of September. Super excited
Yeah.
about that. But I just feel like it's so formulaic how each movie year goes. And this year is no exception because you have January where you have the dump of movies that studios just wanted to release. They didn't really expect too much money from it, and then you have this weird creative growth in I would say March and April, which weirdly happens so often because I know Get Out came around then. Of course, this year Everything Everywhere All at Once came out then.
It was everything everywhere. Northman.
Northman.
Um. More.
it's it's so weird, and then you have, of course, the summer blockbusters, and it's so formulaic. I don't know. It's formulaic, but I don't hate it. Uh, I just wish we got more sort of movies in each of those categories.
I
Cause
mean, I think the thing that I wish more about the movie season is that it was more consistent
yeah, yeah,
across the entire year. Because some times of the year there's just absolutely nothing. Like January, February is almost like a dead zone, it feels like.
Yeah, it sucks because January, February, it's you just kind of gotta go to a movie that like Father Stew. You
Yeah,
gotta go to
like
a movie like that. And
it just
now
it's just such a dead zone
it
of
is. It's
movies.
it's a dead zone, and I think it was a huge dead zone this year. I think. Um,
Well,
I
because
just
the reason studios obviously do it is because it's not good Oscar
it's
timing
it's not good
because
Oscar
it's
timing.
just giving out. So what usually it is you have your Oscar films that win, and then they get
Yeah,
re-releases
yeah,
in
yeah,
that time frame.
and
But I mean, even this year, I can't think of any films that came out in January, February that I think are like spectacular.
man,
Because
I
I
don't
think
know. Morbius.
Morbius came out in April 1st, bro.
Wait, did it?
Yeah,
Shoot, I thought it dropped in January.
we went to the premiere, dude.
Did we go on April?
We went on April
Oh
1st.
my god. Fuck.
Um, did
Shit.
Kimi come out in
Kimi
January, February? It
I
came out pretty early in the
Kimi
year.
dropped on HBO Max. I don't really know.
Okay,
But
because it came out this year. I don't
yeah.
know if it was theatrical or not, but it came out this year.
Yeah. I think also like streaming service drops are a big thing that kind of worries me. Um
It got
like
big this year.
because you're seeing it happen more often. And I don't know. I cuz
I mean,
like I don't know about you, but I like sitting in a theater for certain movies and having that sort of experience.
yeah,
Um
yeah.
but we're seeing such like COVID obviously it makes sense. Um but and luckily we're seeing a little bit more of a shift back to movie theaters, but I'm scared that it's just going to be streaming only
I
eventually.
I think if you do a theatrical release and then put it on your streaming service a month later, I have no issue with
Oh
that.
yeah, I have no issue. I think that's
Because
a
you
solid
you let the
plan.
theatrical release run, and then because HBO Max has been doing that for a while,
Yeah.
where they let a film run theatrically, and then they put it on the platform.
Hmm.
I think that's nice.
I think that's a
But
good plan.
but
Um,
Net anything like Netflix, um, anything that they pick up, I'm always very worried about.
yeah.
Um, and then I can't even think of like I guess the other big one is Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney Plus. Disney, dude. Oh my god, Disney.
Disney's output this year is so mediocre.
That's what it is. Like the thing is, Disney dominates the movie market so much. Like it's one of their movies usually topping the charts every single week.
And if it's not Disney specifically, it's a Disney
Yeah,
property.
exactly. And I you know this, but for any listeners listening, I'm not the biggest fan of Disney. I think they are very just churning out movies to make a profit and not really have any creativity.
It's a nice segue that you say that because I was immediately going to segue into that being my issue with Marvel this year.
Oh, oh, yeah,
There is just too much stuff. Like
yeah, uh,
my biggest issue with Marvel this year is I get like there's so much content being released, and I feel like it sometimes feels like they just release stuff on Disney Plus and they just throw it at the wall and they hope that something sticks
oh yeah, yeah,
because like half of these shows feel half baked. They almost all of them are finished, like roughly, or they just
hmm
rush through the finishing because they don't know what
yeah.
they were doing.
That's what I hate about it. It just it feels very rushed. I don't know. Have you seen the headlines about the um, VFX teams
Yeah, I
who
mean,
like they Marvel is a horrible client um, because they have to churn out these effects in days. which
Um,
is insane to begin with. And on top of it, these people are very underpaid. Uh,
I I think it's just again, they're just churning out too much stuff.
yeah,
Your team is getting fatigued, the audience is getting fatigued. It's getting to a point where hey, it's okay to take a break. You don't need to
exactly.
keep releasing content.
Because I I will say one thing I do think is interesting about this phase is they seem to be trying to have different sort of takes on comic book movies. It's not the same old like concept of oh no, big bad, crack like 50 different jokes. It's more stylized.
I
It's
mean, if we want to talk positives of Phase 4, Moon Knight this year
Moon Knight
was
was
probably the
really good.
standout.
I really liked Moon Knight. And I think that shows where Marvel, should take it for a little bit till they actually have an idea what they want to do. These
Because Moon Knight I feel leans more into that kind of artistic realm that
yeah,
Marvel knows it can do because it's
exactly.
done it before.
It's I also like Moon Knight because yeah, it's set in the MCU, but it's not connected with all these like 50 other events you have to be
Yeah,
updated on in order to watch it.
yeah. Because
And
the MCU is huge now. The
yeah,
scale's like gigantic.
there's just a huge issue of accessibility in that.
Yeah.
And it it's not just a Marvel issue. I think it's an issue with um, quite a few movies nowadays. Um, but I think Marvel is one of the biggest perpetrators of it.
Well, I mean, how much is too much when you need to follow stuff? Because I mean, a lot. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think Marvel after the Endgame, after the Infinity Saga, it felt like they were like, oh shit, that got so big. Now we just need to keep churning shit out.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's a big idea of hey, we want to make money,
Yeah.
because like I really do think if you gave time to Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and Thor: Love and Thunder, I think they would have been actually pretty solid movies.
Well, I don't think it's just that. I think we need to address Kevin Feige deciding to breathe down
Yeah,
everybody's neck
yeah.
during production
Kevin Feige is something. I
because he, man,
I do give him credit. I think he's good at setting stuff up on a very far scope, but I don't think he's that great on a much more focused scope movie wise. Um, the need to fit everything perfectly into a continuity, I think, is just
mhm.
I'm not a fan of it.
Well,
I
I think that's my other big issue with Phase 4 is I don't know what direction we're even going in anymore. I don't know what's coming next. Because when you watched older Marvel movies, they always built it up so that you
yeah
knew that, oh, this character being introduced might mean something. Oh, this. I have no idea what's going on in the MCU anymore.
yeah I you see I think it would have been cool if they took the sort of Kane the Conqueror approach from Loki,
Hmm.
but I I'm not gonna lie, I don't really mind the sort of unfocused approach they're doing right now.
Well, I mean, it's just so un-MCU-esque
Yeah,
that eventually you know they're going to bring it all together because
that
they
yeah,
have to,
yeah.
because it's the MCU.
That's my big thing. Just I just want movies because right now what they need to focus on is sort of building these new characters. And I'm sorry, but putting them in a very MCU heavy focused world just doesn't work right now.
It's I don't think it's just that, it's the way they handle some characters.
Yeah,
Wanda is a huge example
yeah,
of building a villain, and WandaVision took that and just completely tried to spin it so that Wanda's a good guy when clearly she shouldn't be.
yeah. Wanda is because I'm not gonna lie, I really thought they were gonna do House of M, and I was super
No,
excited. And then
No.
WandaVision came out, and I'm like, oh, we're not getting House of M.
Nope.
But I think that's enough Marvel talk
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
now. But there is one thing I sort of want to talk about that I think Marvel really highlights,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sort of how, in order for a movie to be big now, it has to have a tie to a past big franchise or something like that. Look at all the big blockbusters: Jurassic World, Top Gun, Maverick had to be tied with Top Gun, and then of course Thor: Love and Thunder. And you have the few smaller movies that get big pretty much out of luck and word of mouth, but it's like that rare one in a time event. And
Well, I mean, what Batman? No.
I would,
Batman,
yeah,
Top Gun,
Batman, Top Gun,
Thor.
Thor.
Technically, I'd even say Uncharted.
Oh, absolutely, Uncharted. I I
I
just
mean,
I just think it's a very big issue that is becoming more and more common as the years go by. And I don't know, like, because there's even talks about Top Gun 3, which I think is completely unnecessary.
we don't need a
I
Top Gun 3.
Exactly. I think there's certain movies that don't need a sequel, and it sucks because there's a lot of people after they see a movie, they're like, "Oh, we need a sequel of this." And yeah, I another very big token one of this is the Joker 2 sequel.
What?
Originally, cuz it's weird cuz originally all the DC bros were like, "Oh yeah, we need a second one." And then a bunch of like the film bros are like, "Oh no, we don't need a sequel." And then once you
All
hear
the
it's a
details came
musical,
out.
once you
Yeah.
hear it might be a musical, they flipped. Like film bros are like, "Yeah, we love Joker too." And the DC fans are like, "No, this ain't needed." And I think it's so funny, but I don't know. It really speaks to sort of how we don't need sequels to movies, um, but they just kind of happen, and it's the only real locked and guaranteed way a movie can be big now. I don't know.
I mean, um, you talk about Joker too, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's so funny how they completely just spinned it on its head. But the real sequel I'm looking forward to is Morbius 2. I know we
Oh
can make
yeah.
it happen. I know we can make it happen.
There is no way it's not in the works right now.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, if it's not a Morbius 2, it's another Sinister Six.
Yeah,
We're going to get a Sinister Six movie in the near future. I'm calling it right now.
but
I'm calling it right now.
it's gonna be like a weird Sinister Six.
Yeah, it's gonna be the mid the mid Sinister Six. Because
Oh,
I mean these movies are
yeah, yeah. But I I'm I'm curious to see if it happens.
I
Uh,
want it to. I
I
want
do
it to
too.
so bad.
But also, the Minions
Oh,
3
the
or
Minions,
Despicable Me 4, which
dude.
is coming out in, I think, is it 2 years?
What if I told you I actually want that?
You see, I'm just curious.
Because listen, I don't like Illumination as a company.
I
I don't
hate.
like I
Oh,
don't like their output most of the time. It's garbage.
yeah.
But I enjoy a bit of tomfoolery myself, and Despicable Me 4 would be a top tier level of tomfoolery.
Yeah, it would be
She
interesting.
could pull. Because listen, what do they even have left, right? They literally made up a twin for Gru
Yeah.
to make Despicable Me 3 work. How the fuck are you gonna make a fourth one work? They made two movies about fucking side characters.
God, I don't know how it's gonna work, but
How are they
you know,
gonna make it work?
I'll be waiting to hear the details because they're gonna get somehow pull an all-star cast again.
You know.
and it's gonna be crazy. But
dude.
I I sort of want to shift our focus to movies that are actually coming out soon. Um, I
Soon.
I actually have one here that I think actually speaks to a possibly brighter future of the movie industry,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the movie 3000 Years of Longing, which comes out end of August.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one movie that is super original and actually has me very excited because it's not tied to anything. It's its own thing. And I think that's the big movie for me that like I could get all doomer and be like, oh, the film industry's dying, but then I see movies like that and I'm like, oh no, it's all right, it's pretty good. Um, but are there any movies for you sort of like that coming out?
I am unsure how soon it will come out, but Triangle of Sadness is one that I've been
Oh
looking forward
yeah,
to. The Palme d'Or winner
yep,
at this year's Cannes, and everything that I've read on it says, "Damn, this is actually pretty funny," and I'll be the judge of that. So, uh, all the Cannes movies are sounded pretty good to me this year, aside from a few. But
yeah,
most of the ones that I wanted to pay attention to ended up sounding like they were going to be pretty good.
yeah.
So,
Mark my words. I think this year is actually going to be the year for foreign films.
well, I mean, Decision to Leave,
Yeah,
was the one I was looking at. Park Chan Wook and his work there.
yeah. For me, it's sort of Broker. Uh,
Broker, yeah.
obviously, because
I mean,
I
it's
think
South Korean cinema this year. It sounds
yeah,
like
because
again.
I think Shoplifter is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm super excited for Broker, but they're actually so I've been meaning to actually talk about this movie with you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a movie that actually got released on Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never heard of it really before,
Yeah.
and it's a movie from Taiwan. It's called Incantation. It it got released this year, and I was blown away. Uh,
I have not seen it.
yeah,
I've heard
so
of it.
it's I think it was the number one box office earner ever for a Taiwan film. Um, and it is insane. It's basically well, it's a found footage movie, which I am a sucker for,
Mm-hmm.
but it's an actually very unnerving, kind of scary movie. Um, like there's issues with it, but I think it's pretty original. It's fun. It's a good movie, and I I'm just kind of happy to see Netflix really start to push more foreign films that they get on their platform. Because I'm gonna be honest, America movies right now kind of aren't living up to the other kinds of movies we're getting from
Mm-hmm.
across the seas. So
Yeah.
it
I mean, if you want to talk foreign films, RRR, dude.
oh
Jesus.
R RRR is a solid film.
Because for context, I have never seen anything Bollywood ever before
Mhm.
RRR. And I watched that first and I'm like, Jesus, they have their shit together over there, dude. That
Yeah,
is insane.
Bollywood movies are crazy.
It's so good, you
You see,
know?
I I
Because
like it.
America's over here flying their planes. Meanwhile,
Yeah,
RRR's over
yeah.
here doing like four jobs at the same time and being fantastic in all of them. Like what?
U.S. got we bought a zoo, and then in RRR you got honey we brought the zoo.
I mean,
It's It's a good
Oh
movie.
man, it's such a good movie.
I I think there's a lot sort of for Hollywood to reflect on and start. I think it's going to take a while for them to realize they have a lot to do,
Hmm.
but I really think now seeing these kinds of movies come up is really good because it's starting to get into sort of the discussion sphere for movies, which
Hmm.
is really refreshing to see. And I'm excited. I don't know. I'm super excited because I think it's going to be a really interesting Oscars year because there's some phenomenal foreign films coming into the landscape, and I think they could be very prominent in the Oscars, especially because of all the barriers that Parasite has pretty much broken. So
Hmm.
I'm hyped. I'm super excited. It's gonna be a
Yeah,
great.
we'll see when the fall comes.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
There's just
Hopeful that
there's so many like I always get super sort of doomery like middle of summer like this with movies, and then every time I start looking for it and I'm like, oh, I'm excited now.
Well, it's because they all the studios put their summer blockbusters out at the same time,
Yeah, yeah.
and then there's a whole like a whole of nothing for a couple weeks.
And it doesn't help that like it's the same like four movie uh like groups. It's like
Yeah.
Disney, Paramount, all the Disney adjacents.
Yeah.
That's all I can really think of. And then you have
Hmm.
the indie sphere with like A24 and Neon.
And Searchlight.
Yeah, Searchlight to Disney. Is is Searchlight Disney adjacent? Because I know Fox is.
I believe it is technically now.
Because that was the one I wasn't too sure of. But
I think
yeah,
it double dips a little.
I think it double dips. Because Searchlight has some great projects coming out.
Yeah.
That's the one Disney owned thing I am a fan of. I love
But
Searchlight.
is there anything that came out on streaming this year that you were like, wow, this is high quality stuff to come out on streaming first?
Um, well, obviously Incantation, which I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but oh, I have one. So technically, this did get a limited release, but I sadly did not get to go to a theater which played it. It was a very kind of small release. It played at Sundance. Was a fan favorite there. It's called Cha Cha Real Smooth.
No.
It is without a doubt my favorite movie of the year so far. I think
I,
it's so good. I
man,
love it. I know you aren't as big of a fan of it as I am, but
I think Cooper Rafe excels when shit is like so awkward that you kind of just sit there and go, wow, this is literally me. I don't want it to be, but this is literally me. But
yeah,
Cha Cha Smooth is just not doing that for me.
that that's fair. I guess I like it because obviously it's a I think he evolved really well off of Shithouse into this. I think it shows his sort of evolution and maturity as a filmmaker. And I don't know. I like the way he tackles these themes of love and such
Mm-hmm.
from a super much more realistic way. Um, I don't know. I just don't see anyone sort of making a movie that tackles topics like that.
Well, I mean, he Shithouse is like the perfect film student film, right? If you
Yeah,
think about it,
yeah,
because
cause
it's the film every film student wants to make at some point.
yeah, cause do you know the story of how Shithouse got made?
No.
So basically, he he just tweeted at I forgot who it was at a producer, and he was like, "Click the link, you won't." Like that was literally the tweet.
Are you fucking
And the
serious?
producer watched it, and he liked it so much he funded Shithouse.
Oh my god.
it, I love it
Dude, it's
so
that
much.
simple. Dude, holy grind set. Just harass people on Twitter and then they'll fund your movies.
It's crazy. I love the story of how it got made, and uh, it turned out to be one of the best movies of 2020. It's insane. But I was very shocked when Chacharo Smooth got released on Apple TV and didn't really get a much more wider release. Um,
Ah, man, Apple TV.
yeah,
Apple TV needs to advertise so much more.
yeah,
Because I
because
mean, you win Best Picture with a movie that premiered on your platform, and you have other like clearly high quality stuff on there, and you never advertise it.
yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen an advertisement for Apple TV in the last 3 months.
the only time I've seen them advertise if they're advertising for their TV show Severance, which is really
Yeah,
good, by the way. Check it out if you haven't. It's awesome. But I, I don't know. There's so many streaming services now too that it's hard to keep up with all of them.
I think that's another issue with where the industry is headed
Yeah,
because obviously you can't sustain that. What it's going to end up being is it's going to be the same thing of like the issue with TV. There's just too much stuff, and you're trying to separate it all into these different streaming services.
yeah.
No one's going to pay for all of them.
No, they're just gonna pick their favorites, which is going
Yeah,
to be. I I think Netflix is here to stay for a good while still,
Netflix
even if
had
it's dipping.
uh, Netflix had a bomb like a huge dip earlier in the year, but
Yeah,
it feels like they bounced back pretty good with Stranger Things.
yeah, because they still have Stranger Things season 5. They have Squid Game season 2. They have the like game show of Squid Game coming. Like they're pumping media out that's big enough that'll keep them subscriptions.
Yeah.
I think Hulu is here to stay for a while. I think Hulu's actually has a lot of really high quality stuff on their service.
If I'll be honest, if you this is apparently a controversial take, but I like Hulu's selection much more than
Oh
Netflix's.
yeah, yeah. I'm on the same page with you.
I think the biggest issue is Netflix, like Hulu with ads is the most so bad. It's
Yeah,
so bad.
yeah. It's. But I mean, it's not horrible.
I
Like I
think
see why they do it.
I think if I have to pay for a streaming service, you should at least have the decency to remove ads from your service.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm on
Like
the
if
same
you
page
want to
with
make
you.
it free and have ads, I don't care, go ahead. But if I'm paying for it and you give me ads, nah,
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
it really is. And then also, what's your opinion on HBO Max?
Okay, I feel like HBO Max has some good stuff on it, right? But
Hmm.
there's not enough content to make me go like, wow, this is really good. Like there's some good stuff on there. You know,
Yeah,
I mean the entirety of The Sopranos is on there.
Sopranos is on there. Yeah,
The
Barry's
enti-
on there.
the entire Ghibli collection is on there as well as Adult Swim.
Hmm.
But in terms of like everything else after that, there's not a lot else that like trips my trigger.
Yeah. Um,
Because I know that the entirety of the G Kids library is on there as well, which means a certain movie may hit HBO Max in the coming future.
your
But
most anticipated movie?
yeah, dude, I totally haven't seen it before. You know,
Yeah, yeah. I like HBO
but
Max. I like it. I
I,
think
I, just,
they put
I just
interesting movies
wish
out there.
I just wish that they sometimes had more,
Yeah, that's
which
fair.
which, which sounds like entitled, but
Hmm.
it's just that their selection sometimes feels very dry.
Yeah,
Like, they pick some movies that are like they're okay, but they were much bigger like 30, 40 years ago
yeah.
compared to now.
I I think they just need to fix their user interface. I think that's the biggest issue for me.
If you want to talk shit, user interfaces, Amazon Prime is
Amazon
so
Prime is,
terrible.
you see, in this might be a hot take, but I think Amazon Prime is the best streaming service.
That is the hottest take
For
I've heard
for
you
me
say in a
personally,
while.
for me personally, it is my favorite streaming service, but that user interface is so bad. I because they have very very small movies that no one's heard of, and it sounds so like elitist of me, but I love that.
There
I
are.
it's crazy. Like that's where I stumbled upon a little movie I talked about in here before, Dave Made a Maze.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also the one where I found the that one movie where Taika Waititi plays a cult leader, and this guy proceeds to tap dance to the bathroom.
To
It's
kill himself.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
like they have such strange movies. They also have Lamageddon and Velocipaster, which are awesome. And yeah, I just like Amazon Prime. I
Well,
like their Prime Video.
I mean, I found Elizabethtown on Amazon Prime.
Oh,
I think it got taken off the platform now,
I think
which
so.
sucks. But it's it's not a movie that you'd expect to find. It's pretty small,
Hmm.
but I mean, it's a good movie.
Yeah, it's I like it, but I think we should end it off with talking about one sort of show on Prime that we both love,
Yes, yes.
and that is The Boys.
The Boys.
That it's not a movie, but man, I would consider it on the level of a movie. I think this is
The Boys isn't episodic, is it?
I think
It
it
is. It
yeah,
is. Yeah.
yeah. I think it is one of the best things out on any media right now.
They they consistently know how to just absolutely get that show going. Because
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
It's a great show, and I every character in that is so good. Especially with season 3, because they've addressed sort of the controversy with Kimiko. Um,
Mhm.
and they really gave her a backstory, and she really became a huge fan favorite, especially this season.
Well, I mean, it's not just that. It's I mean, how big are some of the events in this season in
Oh
general?
yeah, this season, like every episode, you're like, how could they get more crazy than the last episode?
Because there is a
And they do
certain
it.
twist. There's a certain twist in an episode that literally came out of left field. Like a certain person dies,
Yeah,
and I sat there and I'm like, how are you going to write this in? How are you gonna fix this?
yeah.
Man,
And just so I make sure, you have not seen the final episode, right?
I have not. I've seen every
Yeah.
episode of this season except for the finale.
The finale is so good. It's oh my god. And they have like they're in works with a spin-off series,
Mm-hmm.
and then it leads into season 4. So there's so much content for the boys that I'm excited to sort of dive in on.
Dude,
But
dude.
it's such a good TV show, and I think that's also why I like to claim Prime Video is one of the best streaming services, if not the best. Because
It's
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 just
up
it's
it's
that
about that
good.
for me. Nope, nope, nope. See, you lost me there. You had me, and then you said that, and then you lost me.
Because I said it's that good.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's not that good. It's good. It's not that
I
good.
think it's pretty good. But
You do you, bro.
yep. I think that's a good ending point, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So once again, thank you all for listening to our very, very scuffed podcast right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope to have y'all listen in the next one. And yeah, take care. See you next time.
Mm-hmm.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.